Well, now it's time for another interesting panel discussion on inclusion, innovation, digitization, ensuring India's future, part to universal coverage by 2047. And so let's welcome our co-panelist here on stage, Mr. Rohit Kilam, CTO HDFC Life, Mr. Layak Singh, founder and CEO Artivatic.ai, Mr. Jaimit Doshi, Chief Technology, Digital and Marketing Officer, Aditya Birla Sunlife Insurance, Mr. Prasad Kailash Krishnamurthy, Vice President, Products, Perfumers. Well, our moderator for this session is Mr. Shashank Shekhar, co-founder and head of consulting, the Digital Fifth. Welcome, everyone. Let's begin with it.
Yeah, thanks. So I think we are moving from wealth to insurance. I think we keep on talking when it comes to digitization. Everybody keeps on talking about the banks, but I think lots has happened and happening also in the wealth and insurance. So in this session, we'll try to deep dive into the insurance part of it. And especially when the government and the SEBI announcing that insurance coverage for all by 2047 is not an easy task. So how the insurance companies are getting ready towards it and how the digital is going to drive that, that's we'll try to focus into that, more discussions. So before we delve into that, I think we'll start with Jaimit or Rohit to just give us a glimpse on how the insurance has been evolving in terms of the digitization. This is a very wide open question, but people need to know the perspective because banking, everybody keeps on reading and more experiencing it. But how the digital has been influencing, guiding that insurance segment. So maybe Jaimit, if you can start.
So there are two, three aspects to digitization. One is customer side. The other is the back-end side of digitization. I think today, fairly on the back-end side, we're 100% digital. I think Rohit, even you guys would be fully 100% digital, I would assume. Paper होता है आपके यहाँ?
Well, it's archive paper now.
Archive paper? हाँ नहीं है, हमारे पास तो paper नहीं है. So everything comes in 100% is fully digital. But I think the question that needs to be asked is the consumer buying digitally? Today, I think that is a very, very small fraction. So that is not happening. And that could be a reason because of the probably the product, probably people like us who go and screw it up and make it even more complicated. But per se, once the consumer is ready or the client is ready, the prospecting is digital, the agent is fully digital, the process for us, we've gotten rid of all the forms. 93% of our customer servicing is digital. So per se, in terms of digitization, I think that's almost I don't think if that's a valid question also to be even considered, but we are totally 100% digital. I think छोटा मोटा इधर उधर कोई ना कोई कुछ कर रहा है, but otherwise it's fully digital.
No, absolutely. I think you touched on very important that I think now it's game over the distribution and the building the adoption curve for the insurance taking into that next level so that like customers start buying it into that. So how do you see that kind of the evolution in the upscale in the adoption curve for the insurance to the large masses? Now maybe Rohit, if you can just guide into that.
So thank you. So from the adoption side of things for insurance industry, I think insurance industry is walking the path in terms of where payments and lending have gone ahead. And so it has a footstep to follow in that sense. Adoption from an insurance standpoint is also very closely related to awareness. Awareness that I need to be protected. The social networks around the insured person has to be activated to understand and to know that I need that protection cover. That's one side of things. Second is from adoption standpoint, it's extremely important to understand that as there's an interesting phenomena which is happening in, if I have to say that, because the mean average age of mortality is increasing, the population size is increasing, and the retirement age remains the same. So that means you almost are living equal amount of second life post-retirement. And people have to be aware about that how do we actually build for that part of our life when we may not have that kind of a power in our bones, or the muscles will be weak at that point of time. And how do we build for that? That awareness is extremely important from an adoption standpoint. Yeah.
I think this is a very valid awareness is the key, right? Many of the typically, if you look at the forced one in like say motor insurance and all these things, which are like more forced ones. So that's what led people to buy it. But life insurance and all these things, still people, many of the people doesn't buy it, right? In spite of having lots of the awareness program and all these things. But maybe since you are build the insurance platforms, how do you see that this customer awareness can be increased, right? And how do you see that evolution of the customer experience in the next couple of years? With also Bima Sugam is coming up. And then adding the question to that, do you see that Bima Sugam, which is projected to be coming live by June, at least whatever has been stated, right? I don't know how it will come, but how the Bima Sugam will help into that kind of the adoption curve?
Okay, so basically, as you see, like as Rohit has talked about awareness point of view, and Jaimit also talked about that on the back side of it, we are looking into the digitization of everything around it. I think the two things, these are all already critical, which is going on as a walking a path. But if you look into the customer perspective, like we as a tech provider, what we think is that like the distribution always has the key combined with the technology, if it is as a one touch to the customer's hand to look around that. And on the side of the kind, what customer is very confusing right now is that the lot of which we already discussing around a lot of terms and condition of insurance, how they view it, how they pursue it, and they don't understand that when they buy the product actually. That's also one of the reality that a lot of customer does not know about the product they're buying it and the terms and condition behind it around that. So I think if we simplify that around before delivering to the customers is equivalent enough to get them the right awareness. And also it is also important that while insurance being a kind of agent-driven business as well, the agent who is working on the ground as well, they also need to understand a lot of things which they some time do not understand what product they're selling to the customers as well, because they try to get the kind of like a brief information and reach out to the customers. And so I think there is a gap in terms of the product which is getting delivered to the customers not in the right format to the customers, and also the people who are delivering at the last mile to the customer having some challenges in delivering around that too. So we have seen that businesses with a few of the distribution companies, their customers base, like more than 70% people, the agents around that, they're not able to talk about the right benefits, right informations, and I think the value is getting lost. So one side, there's a technology is moving in a way of digitization point of view, but on the other side of the journey, the customer is not getting the right benefit of that tech actually, which they actually should get around that. So this is important that the last mile people who are there, and also the kind of like the product briefing to the product customers, and also it is important to design the products as well, which is customers need actually. Well, there are a lot of standard products in a way, but still customers sometimes gets struggle that whether I need to go for it, not to go for it as well. So I think these are the challenges which is looking around as a customers need to reach out to them. While we talked about Bima Sugam, which is IRDA is pushing that out, it will have a lot of leverage in terms of that how a customer will have an access to buy the products which is on a centralized place from different kind of like insurance companies, and they will have the kind of like access to the products. Along with the Bima Sugam, they are also creating the kind of like a seamless experience in terms of how they pursue for your servicing to the claims around that. So it will play a vital role, but I think the journey has to seen around that, and it is a long journey for Bima Sugam to cater to that level as well. So this is what I think technology is one side, but awareness again is also a way of reaching to the customer's need on the last mile itself.
Thanks, like. So, Jaimit, I will try to take your view on that. How do you concur with his thoughts when it comes like customer actually getting the benefit of the tech which is being brought in by the insurance companies and also helping him to pick up the right product?
That's a $1 million question. and it's extremely complicated to give you an answer. So there are two parts to this. One is the process of buying and understanding, and the second is the product benefit and the experience. The product benefit and experience is clearly there. So I don't have to fill 100 pages of form. I just have to put OTP. I don't have to give half my proof that I'm alive because we go and ping, etc. There are APIs available for that. The delivery of the product is fairly there. The monies get credited into the account fairly on time. Everything happens smoothly. The problem is slightly different. When the customer is actually buying insurance, the good question that we all need to ask is he actually buying insurance? There is only 4% of the industry that is purely on term. 96% of the industry is actually selling a savings product. Now, when you're looking at a savings product, and then you're looking at it and saying, how can I make this better, and how can the digitization work? The problem in many ways, and I come also from a marketing background while I have tech. So when you speak to consumers, they'll probably remember their dentist appointment, but they will not remember the policy that they've bought even a week back. They will not remember whether he's bought a 5-pay or a 10-pay. He will just know how much money he's giving. He will know the agent who's come and sold the policy to him. He's buying a savings product or a growth product with the back of his head saying that इसमें tax भी बचता है. In the back of the head he's saying, अच्छा ठीक है, मुझे इसमें insurance भी हो रहा है, कुछ भी होगा, मेरे family protect होगा. Now, when we start thinking from that lens and then we simplify it, honestly, the consumer knows what he's getting in. The consumer, we take a recording of 100% of our consumers saying exactly what the terms and conditions of the policies, he has to say it before I even pass it. Everything is there. Yet, what is happening is that post-buying, we are unable to connect with him again and again, year on year. And the bigger problem is that the best in class, the best, we have some people who here, HDFC is doing good, we're fairly doing good. In 5 years, only 60% of our customers remain. The problem is not that the customer is not understanding. The problem is not that he's been wrongly sold. The problem is not that the delivery is not there. The engagement with the category is suffering. And if that is being able to address, if we are able to address, the question is agent mortality. Agents see the one who sold you the policy, the agent mortality is some 60-70% for the best of us. The churn in the salespeople is 50% for the best of us. The problem is not in the digital delivery. आदमी खरीद रहा है, प्रॉपरली खरीद रहा है, उसको अच्छा भी लग रहा है, बट अगर हम एंगेज नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, हम एक्सप्लेन नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, ईयर ऑन ईयर यू डूइंग अ गुड जॉब, you've done a good product. There is when the long-term nature of the business and the delivery of the long-term promise is where you are starting to have a problem. So while you look at the mountain of the problem on the digitization, the mountain of the problem is in the retention. And the retention is a factor of ease, is a factor of the belief that I love it, is a factor that I continue to see it. Like you don't not pay your EMIs. You pay, you see the car every day, you see your house every day, you see your phone EMI, you see your phone every day. You're not seeing your insurance every day. And that's where the drop-offs happen. So it's a very complicated piece. Everybody looks at the top of the funnel and finds the villain. To me, I think the middle of the funnel is where the villain is. And that's where the whole game should be and can be.
No, I think it's a valid point, Jaimit. That's where that I think insurance differentiate from banking, where that there is some kind of a daily engagement. Like you are doing the saving accounts, you are doing the transaction, you are having in a banks, you are paying the EMI. But insurance, like once in a while, I remember my premium day. And that also I put a reminder. That once in a year, premium payment is to be done.
मैं तेरे को एक ऐप दूंगा, तू ऐप डाउनलोड करेगा इंश्योरेंस का?
नहीं करेगा, right? That's
तो देखने का तो दूर का बात है.
That's true. So, how do you see? So, Prasad, I'll come back to you with the question, and I was interacting with you. how do you see that kind of the customer engagement to be built with this customer into that kind of the service model that which is there and the product design is there, right? Unless until he requires, he will definitely either he's paying the premium or then he is claiming, right? So how do you see that data or like some kind of mechanism can be support to build that kind of the customer engagement to solve? I don't know how it will be solved, but I would like to take in a view from you.
Sure, sure. So just to address exactly what Jaimit had mentioned here, right? And I'll add a few more problems also to that. So one is the persistence. The other one is the number of products per customer, right? So both of them show, I mean, the figures you are well aware, both of them show that there is the knowledge about the customer is not sustained, right? So what it requires, that's where the availability of data. Now, you had mentioned that there are APIs available for a lot of operations. Now, that actually enriches the customer profile to say, I know not, so in a lot of cases where we have seen not just in life, but also in general, where the insurer does not even get a proper contact details of the end customer. Now solved. But
we take OTPs. But yes, yes. Earlier it used to be an issue, correct.
So there is a lot of back data which does not have that kind of detail. Now with not just the contactability, right? So the customer profiling with respect to their financial needs, the life stage that they are in on a sustained basis, so that an insurer can sell the right product at the right time, at the right place. So the third part is the right product, because you get to know more about the customer, their financial profile, their expense profile, what kind of spending are they doing? Are they an online gamer or a gambler? Or they have sustained amount of healthy lifestyle with a gym membership and say the Strava profile, which gives the perspective of their health, right? So these are all data points that are available about their financial health, about their physical health, about their life stage. And now with the ecosystems, aggregators and marketplaces, which become the actual distributors of the products, right? Now, not just life, but when we are going, expanding overall insurance for all, and there is intermittently we have talk of consolidated products. That means there is a reach to the customer at the point of need for this. So with the availability of this data, which is available today through open channels, through account aggregator, through the open APIs that we have today, we're able to build a much better profile of the customer so that you can sustain, in a sustained manner, keep engaging for the exact problem that you solved. Like first job, there is a bike, there is a car, there is a house, there is a kid. So different products are needed at different places to plan for their savings, right? So for this, the kind of data available today is much higher, where we can continuously engage with the customer. On the other hand, this is all digital, right? So where we are expecting this information to be available in a digital manner. Now, the moment we say that, there is forgery, there is fraud, where I can dupe this same information. That means this has to be balanced with enough fraud checks, enough risk mitigation, so that you are able to get the correct customer at the correct price. So today, what company like ours also is working on is to build this customer profile where you have data about the financial health, physical health, and the life stage. At the same time, weed out risk and fraud. So going forward with marketplaces also coming into play, this becomes much more easier because marketplaces also collect a lot of information about the customer. So I feel we can.
Yeah. So let me put my tech hat on the side and give a perspective. beyond insurance, specifically underwriting, since somebody spoke about underwriting, right? So from an underwriting standpoint, how many underwriting models, real underwriting models, not peripheral ones, right, use alternate data?
Yeah.
That's the point. How comprehensive is the data which is available across the cohorts that you're trying to lend on? You will have a Strava data for a guy whose CIBIL score is 750 plus. You don't need it. You don't need it.
750 को तो blindly underwrite कर रहे हैं.
The point is, the cohort that you want to go under, the bottom 50% of our population economically, उसका data नहीं है हमारे पास. उसका reliable data नहीं है हमारे पास. Reliable data is more important for underwriting. That's a product view of things, if I put my product hat. From a tech standpoint, I think there are umpteen number of AI models available for underwriting. A lot of people have tried. A lot of things from a CIBIL data standpoint has been tried within insurance as well, because insurance is double underwriting, right? Lending is just single underwriting. Insurance means I have to underwrite medically as well as financially, right? So insurance is that much more complicated.
Yeah.
How do I get to underwrite medically? That becomes another ecosystem problem, because I need to integrate with all my TPAs. I need to integrate with my diagnostics labs. I need to integrate with the entire ecosystem around hospitals, right? That's more fundamental and reliable data to look at, first of all. Yeah, that's a quick view.
No, so interesting point, Rohit. So when you're talking about some of this peripheral data, which is like, say, for example, diagnostic lab and all these things, and I'll add that embedded insurance also into that gamut. Like, look at that now, online health labs are coming, and many of the customers are opting to online like Healthians and all these things. Do you see possibility? I just putting in one example, but picking up the data from the customers from there and see that how the health profile of the customer is there, and using that kind of the data in underwriting. Yeah, please go, anyone, absolutely.
95% is savings products.
No, I know.
उसके लिए मेरे को कुछ नहीं डरनी चाहिए. Without underwriting, you can come through. मेरे को आपका हेल्थ चाहिए ही नहीं. I have, my grids are so this thing that, see, what did he say? He's saying 750 plus, 650 plus. If you have a good CIBIL score, you are not going to die. Okay? That is proved.
Yes.
That is proved. You are not going to die. Now, you will fall ill.
Interesting. This is
Yeah. Arey, 26% of my business is pre-approved, sum assured. You have a good CIBIL score. You are not dying. That is first rule.
Your risk is lower for...
You might as well go and take accidental insurance. So normal nahi hoega. Means you're not likely to die. The problem what he is saying is slightly different. Problem is, जिसका credit score नहीं है, correct? उसको तुमको term बेचने का है, उसको तुमको savings product जिसमें risk समझना है. वो बेचारे के पास तो diagnostic test भी नहीं है.
Yeah, that's true.
कोई health parameter नहीं है. The problem that Rohit is trying to say is that there are thick portfolios and there are thin portfolios. Thick portfolios where the data is available, you don't want the data. The thin portfolio where data is not available is where you want the data. That is stopping us from achieving more than 5% insurance. That is the problem. So, आपका जितना भी data है, you are saying cookie data में डालूंगा, cookie less data होएगा, तेरा app data में निकालूंगा, मैं तेरा driving history निकालूंगा, ये सब credit score में आ रहा है. तेरा credit score मिल गया मेरे को. I don't need anything. Rich people don't die.
जिसका credit data नहीं है, उसका कुछ भी data नहीं है.
जिसका credit score नहीं है, जिसका credit score नीचे है, उधर तेरे को data चाहिए. और वो तो बेचारा app पे नहीं है. वो health data नहीं ले रहा है. वो बेचारा gamer है. उसके ऊपर what do I get underwriting data? Now in this, I have to sell a 5,000 rupee policy. 10,000 rupees policy. Do you sell 10,000 rupee policies? नहीं बेचते हैं. क्योंकि we want 50,000 rupee average ticket size. Now ये lower में ना persistency आएगी, because उसका income fluctuate हो रहा है. उसका ना health मेरे को bad lives आ रही है. वो बेचारा उसको मिस सेल किया हुआ है बिकॉज उसको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. ये प्रॉब्लम्स है. व्हेन यू वांट इंश्योरेंस फॉर ऑल, द प्रॉब्लम इज सेपरेट. नाउ इन दिस, वेयर आर यू गोइंग टू गेट ऑन थिन डेटा? हाउ आर यू गोइंग टू ऑगमेंट इट? लेट्स आंसर दैट क्वेश्चन. एंड आई डोंट हैव एन आंसर. I came here hoping इधर किधर आंसर मिलेगा.
No, in fact, I was coming to that question, Kilam. We have spoken about the problems and the challenges and issues with respect to Vision for All 2047. But how do we get an answer? Like, okay, so maybe government and IRD is taking some of the steps, but can you just talk about some of the steps which has been taken? But are they really taking into that direction of the insurance by 2047?
Sorry, please feel to contradict, but go ahead.
No, I would say see, you see the lot of kind of like initiative which is running around that you talk about EBDM, you talk about kind of like I mean, okay, financially you sort it out with account aggregator because people do transaction, you get the data around that. But actually, as Jaimit said, the health is definitely critical data. So when you try to augment the data, or when you even try to identify the surrogates around the data, is difficult to run that. We try to do some part of it, but what I could see that in the portfolio, which Jaimit is talking about, and this is the problem of the industry as well, we could see uplifting of 3 to 5% maximum around that, even about the kind of like data that you're augmenting from the verse, with the kind of like a lot of data that you're trying to capture from your mobile apps. Like if you're talking about the mobile apps, less than 5% people are in India are using the kind of like this health mobile apps actually. Less than 5% even. And active users are less than even 1% around that to use around that. If you look into the kind of like alternative health which is coming around that on OPD and any other kind of like initiative which is running around that, I mean, they do not have the customer base more than a kind of like 1 million customers around that. And if you try to, and out of that even, you will not find the kind of like right customer data. You want to even design a product like tomorrow you want to design a product on a diabetic perspective which combined with the kind of like saving ideas around that to the customers, or maybe any other kind of like health product in term side as well. Critical diseases health kind of product. You will find the data issues right now. Because even this apps and all is less than 1%. So on less than 1% data that you're trying to utilize the kind of like a model to augment, which you want to basically superimpose to the 99% of the population on that code is becoming a challenge right now. Because like this is what is happening in the realistic point of view. So financially sorted out, to be honest. I mean, you do transactions, you do everything, because either you build a health locker, even I could see like there's a 4 crore numbers which is there, more than that, who has the ABA ID. But if you actually go to access that to get the data out of it, it's less than 3% then. I mean, they don't even uploading the data of the health and health documents, data, anything around that. So adoption is still a challenge. Hopefully it will sort it out in the coming time, but standardization of the health and data is a challenge.
We got into the issues and challenges definitely, but how do we get there? Do you see that initiative like composite licenses, but I think yet to be approved and all these things, right? But do you see any of these initiatives?
So there are a couple of things which government is trying, and I think there are steps in the right direction. Specifically looking at the village level, state level committees that they're doing, one. That will ensure penetration. Second, the sharing of information between the banks and insurance companies is going to fast track this, because a lot of Jan-Dhan accounts have been opened. That is the second part of it. The third part of it, from an insurance standpoint, is the fact that we need to cater to women segment. That is one segment where just half of the population has been, I won't say ignored, but at least at the back burner. Build products for women segment. And that's another push from a government standpoint which is coming. And it's extremely important. Sugam, Bima Sugam is obviously there. There are Bima Vistar and Bima Sugam, which government is trying. But apart from that, I think from an industry standpoint, I think we need to look at the network effect of insurance. We need to definitely start bundling, and that's the question that's the question that was raised by Jaimit in terms of how do you create engagement? You can only create engagement when you offer, apart from life insurance, health insurance. Apart from health insurance, advice. Something along with it as a bundle, some advisory services, pieces around his health checkups, pieces around what he needs to do for planning his financial life. So there is an ecosystem effect that needs to kick in to to create that engagement going on. But that's for the, again, I said that's for the top 50% of the cohort. Bottom 50% of the cohort has to go down at the village level, at the state level, creating Jandan account, linking that with the insurance companies and getting more data around that, and also specific products for women and people who are, typically are people who are cart pullers, people who are the shopkeepers, the tuck shops. I want to protect those people. They need the people who are not on regular salary. They are the people who need protection the most. The products have to be defined for that. That's where we need to get to. If government has done excellent steps in terms of creating pension programs for the poor, I think insurance for the poor can also be done. And government is in that direction, doing very good work. Thanks.
Thanks, Rohit. Prasad, from your perspective, what kind of a next evolution in the digital public infrastructure that you see, which may contribute or which can contribute towards that expansion of this insurance product to that 50% or 60% which Rohit and Jaimit is talking about?
Sure, I think we touched upon it already, but I'll just expand a little bit. Financial data, I mean, as you all mentioned, financial data is still a solved problem, even for the bottom 50%, right? So where we can get financial data, and that can be a surrogate for a lot of information. So whether it is salaried income or non-salaried income, whether it is a business income, either through GST, we get information. If there are other rental incomes, okay, we can get risk also. Does the person smoke? Does the person drink? Are there UPI transactions give a lot of information about the way the person is spending money, right? So the financial data as such is a great surrogate. I mean, while we wait for ABDM to have enough adoption, right? So once, assuming in the coming years with the push that is there, ABDM has enough adoption. Today, there is hardly anything, like also mentioned, like 1%, 3%. Over a year, we get 10,000 records, so which is extremely small to be used directly today. But that is a great initiative if we can get health data through the open channel. Till then, the financial data becomes a surrogate for not just financial income verification, but also to get other data points to get into the underwriting and product fitment. So as I said, the income profile, there is a risk profile. You can get other savings profile that the person is doing, and maybe health. So for example, there are regular pharmacy expenses, there are hospitalization expenses. So those sort of give us a surrogate while we wait for ABDM to come in. Till then, financial data, we do have account aggregator, which is expanding at a very rapid pace, where a lot of financial institutions are already FIPs.
No, I think in this case, it's important to look at account aggregator from a health standpoint. And I think that's been debated earlier as well. We need to have an account aggregator, like a health aggregator, similar concept that we have for account aggregator, implemented for health and protection, where we get all the platforms together. Yeah.
No, this is interesting. Anything, Jaimit, you would like to add? These are some of this thought process being shared, which may have an impact on the growth in the insurance adoption, but anything that at the industry level should be done or should happen?
Oh, that's an interesting one. See, insurance fundamentally is a law of large numbers. Now, if you insure enough, you're profitable. If you insure a small cohort, there are bad lives, there are distribution costs, and everything comes into play. As long as you understand the law of large numbers is very, very important. Problem is going from medium to large. Small में कोई problem नहीं है, कोई losses नहीं है, कोई profit नहीं है, किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Medium में, if you get losses, you get hit. Problem is you are unable to become large. Once you become large, you can do a lot of things. When you want to go to the second half of the pyramid, the ability to take large numbers together so as to get a book is important. Now, there is digitization of finance coming in. So what you're saying is absolutely right. If a lot of it comes through, And that patterns emerge on what you're spending. And we are able to say you are a real person. The problem is, how do I tell you that this is what you need to save for the future into an asset that is blocked? That is good for you when you are not there. The problem will come there. And at that distribution, when you're talking 5,000, 10,000 average ticket size, to get that distribution down to 5 rupees, 10 rupees, and to issue that policy, and getting that cost in, problem will come there. And that's today. It looks like the only problem we have, the smartest idea we have right now is bundle. I'm not so sure whether bundling is the right answer, because I'm not buying something, I'm buying something else, I'm getting this free. Or 2 rupees extra check aa jata hai, 5 rupees extra check aata hai. Means people get scared trying to remove that check, should I put, etc. But if the answer we get somewhere else, and we get that massive volume in coming in, that's where it comes in. Should the industry do something about it? For sure. How long can we be a 3% industry? To be counted, we have to be a 5 to 7% industry. Anything more than that, maybe at this stage is the role of the government. But definitely to 7 to 8% penetration as an industry to come in, that's clearly our problem. That's something we need to solve and get bigger faster.
Thanks, Jaimit. So before I proceed, maybe any question from the audience? Can I have the mic, please? Yeah. And if you have any specific question to any of the panelists, you may talk, or if it's an open, then anybody can pick it up.
Yeah, this is open for all. So this is more on the engagement, the insurance side of it. So as a user side of it, what I look at it, the insurance what they offer today is they take a premium, and in case something happened to me, they will pay me the lump sum to my family. That is the lens which I get as a user. So as a user, if you build an engagement model, so then only the game will change. And like Ping in a good doctor in China has did that, build the whole ecosystem. So that is my first point on the user engagement. One of the model which
Question, probably just if you can come to the question, that's
So so on user engagement, I'm saying the angle which industry look at the insurance itself has to be come out from financial, it has to be come out as a life. So that is my view at user engagement, where while the discussion obviously the more has to come out. The second point on the health insurance or the health data point of view, there is a lot of data is available. Now, will it be accessible or not, that I don't know today. So through the Ayushman Bharat, at least the bottom 50%, out of that, at least 25% of the population has taken some kind of benefit. So if you take any family, like out of 30,000 rupees, how much insurance they have claim, if you take that data itself, that is a good data to start with for you to doing underwriting for them. The second data which is available with government is the death data. In any family, if any death happen in the range of 40, 45, 50, all the data can be used, and then underwriting model can be built on the bottom 50% of it.
Any view, Jaimit or Rohit?
Yeah, so government is trying to digitize death claims, and I think there's significant work that is being done there. Once that is done, I'm sure we are all ready to consume that data. That unfortunate data in that sense, yeah. But yes, your point around ABHA is right. We're waiting for larger adoption of ABHA to pick those numbers up. Wherever possible, we are specifically picking up.
Yeah. Thanks. I think he's already picked up mic, maybe. Then I'll come back to that.
One specific question to you. You spoke about how there's little awareness amongst people for the insurance products, like repeated awareness, like when is it due? So just wanted to know from you, and in fact all of you, is it a similar pattern that you observe in the West also? Or is it something that's just how the industry is structured for insurance products? Any insight into this?
Does anybody know the West data? I don't have the West data.
Yeah, so there is a peculiarity about 3 countries which have very high adoption from an insurance standpoint, which are outliers. But more or less, most of the countries are in single digits from an insurance standpoint still. So as an industry, worldwide...
He's talking persistency numbers.
Persistency numbers, wherever it is linked to your benefits, the benefits like in US you get, right? Those kind of benefits where their persistency numbers are much higher, and then the enforcement is very higher from a health standpoint because it becomes just unaffordable. But there are some maladies of that kind of a program as well, which we all know and understand.
Thanks. Maybe pick up the one last question.
Just one quick follow-up, and this is on the Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana of the government. So I believe with most Jan Dhan accounts, the government also doled out the Jeevan Jyoti Bima Yojana. But the thing, how they doled out the program was ensuring that 1 rupee is deducted, and that was the mechanism they had to make it incentive. But what I also understand is most individuals who even have that insurance aren't aware. And if such a mishap occurs in the family members aren't aware. So again, is there any data to understand how effective was that in terms of claims? So there might have been a lot of insurance policies out, but in terms of claims might not have benefited.
I don't have that data. I don't know.
Very
Typically
different.
bundling, and I'm not specific to PMJJY. Typically bundling mein, people don't realize they have something, and that's when it goes for a toss. So that's a little bit of a problem, and I feel very sad that as a company you get the money, but if the person is paid and you're supposed to get paid, the family is supposed to get paid, usko malum bhi nahi hai. Like you go and take a cab, you've ticked something, you don't even know you've ticked it.
That's true.
I personally don't like tick marks.
No, that's very interesting. No, that's absolutely, I think. So maybe last question, I'll just pick it up. Yeah.
So, Jaimit, I am an insurance guy. In fact, Jaimit and Rohit. So this question is specifically on the technology side. I mean, while we have been talking about data, product, distribution, legs on all. So we are in InsurTech and we build technology solutions, right? So the question is very straightforward. How is tech in your companies, in your area, specifically the tech, enabling the digitization and distribution?
So I think digitization is done, but how the tech is helping that? That's very important.
I think we should have one-on-one conversation if you want to know about specifics.
I can tell him, but then I'll have to shoot you. No, but that's my everyday job, so I have to say it's amazing. I get paid to say that it's phenomenal. But to be very true, there are two sides to it. There is the approach side to it, and there is the operational efficiency side to it. The operational efficiency side to it, to my mind, we're up on the curve, we're at 90%. Thoda sa we'll get better, we'll get faster. Now it's a question of few seconds. But do you really want a policy in 4 seconds versus 5 seconds? The questions are not there. So there the curve, the slippery slope or the flattening has already happened. Will any tech provider come and help us get better? There's always small elements that is possible. The big one is, can you help me sell better? Now in that, the technology is very interesting because that requires consumer insight. Pure tech will not help you. But if you have a consumer insight that says that this is what I require, and here is the tech for it, and here is the back-end tech that will help the front-end possible. Now that's a $1 billion startup waiting to happen. On most of the others, I'm seeing operational efficiency. The curve has already gone up. Now you're on the flattening part. Will you build a unicorn on 2% efficiency? I'm yet to see that happen. On this side, you have a 3.5% penetration problem. In that, is there a big issue that's waiting to happen? Is there a conversion rate optimization waiting to happen that technology can solve? 2 billion le le.
I'll just add one small point to this. Okay, while there is a lot of technology innovation in operations, right? So one of the problems from a distribution angle with respect to technology is that there is no common framework across insurers, across products, across this thing. With the Bima Sugam. Okay, so but while for financial services, like for credit, you have an OCAN, which is a open standard which says any credit provider can have an open API, and any marketplace or a consumer who wants to provide a credit marketplace can use the same one. A similar network or a standard, whether not just an application, but an technology standard
Yeah,
can
so
also
I'll answer that. So from a technology standpoint, since it's not a specific question, so from a technology standpoint, IRDA has given certain guidelines from an underwriting standpoint. From a distribution standpoint, the industry is converged because the agents which sell insurance, will sell multiple products of different companies, right? So they have converged. We understand, we know certain products, they will have standardization in terms of parameters, in terms of selling parameters specifically and product parameters which are there. Product parameters, IRDA has come up with use and file policy, right? So a lot of innovations happening on that side, but there is standardization from an underwriting standpoint, and I would say surrogate standardization in terms of the sell side as well, because industries are converging together. The products are what they are, from a life or a term or a health or a combo or riders. Those kind of things are standardized from that. From Oaken's standpoint, right? We do not have an open, as I said, you will not have an open standard in insurance, because insurance, as he said, is a business of large numbers. It's an actuarial game, statistics numbers, and at the back end, when you go to a reinsurer, at the reinsurer end, a lot of things get standardized. Yeah,
absolutely.
From a tech standpoint.
Yeah, thanks, Rohit. I think it was very interesting. It's had lots of learning, because we actually could get into that real problems, right, within the insurance, and that we try to look into some of the solution insights, and we'll see that how the future unfolds with some of the initiatives. But thank you, everyone, and everybody was being very transparent. So I really loved it, talking about the real problem which is there into that. So thank you for lovely sessions, and thank you with us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for this interesting session. One group picture of yours.